So good to see y'all tonight. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about um self-confidence and self-worth tonight. And I've really been studying up on this, and I've got a lot of information to share with you. But hey Mercedes, how you doing? But most importantly, I want to encourage you because I know when I share what I have tonight that I'm not the only one. Because I always tell my story. Because see, I would rather tell my story. Hey, Eric, how you doing? And versus allowing the enemy to tell the story, because I get to control the narrative. So I get to tell my own story. So we're gonna kick it off here in just a few minutes with a story. Hey, Selena, how you doing? Um, we are almost at 20, you guys. We're going to get started at 20. And let me turn this down. Okay, there we go. So I got y'all on. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started tonight because I want to. Hey, I don't call you Mark. I forget what it is that I call you. Lord, I'm mercy, you to change your name on Facebook. But anyway, how you doing? Hey, Tamika, my sissy poo is here. So listen, tonight we are going to talk about something really, really, really good. And I want to, before I even go into it, I want to say, you guys, I want to set the stage. This is 2020. This is a brand new decade. Okay, brand new decade. And hey, Debbie, how you doing? Um, and we're about to go into 2021. Now, 2020 has been a very challenging year for everybody, for everybody. Yet, I want you to hear the yet or but conjunction, junction. What's your function? But I have witnessed and I have seen and I've also experienced some amazing accomplishments in this year during COVID. Just not accomplishments, some financial triumphs, some spiritual triumphs. Yes, a lot of spiritual triumphs. Hey, Anetta, so if that's you, if 2020 has been challenging yet, or but conjunction junction, what's your function? But you have still had an incredible year in the Lord. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. If you've had a great year anyway, give me some hearts. Give me some hearts. Give me some hearts. I want to see what the people are feeling about 2020. Y'all give me some hearts. If you feel like yes, it may have been a challenging year. We've lost some people along the way, but I've purchased a home. I bought a brand new car. I had a baby. I got married. I see some hearts. I started a new business. I made more money. I got a new job. I increased my spiritual awareness. I began to meditate. I did journaling. Whatever you did, hey Monica, whatever you accomplished, I lost some weight. I know this year I changed my eating habits. I'm doing the blood type diet or lifestyle, and I've changed my eating habits. I feel much better. My blood pressure is normal. So there have been some challenges, but there have also been some wins in 2020. So, hey Tanya, how you doing? So what I want to talk about tonight is another way you can win in 2020 going into 2021. And that is in the area of self-confidence and self-worth. Now, I know a lot of you have heard those words before, but do you really know how these two words, self-confidence and self-worth, number one, what the difference is, and number two, how they can impact your life, because they can impact your life significantly. Okay. First of all, self confidence. Let's start with self confidence because it's a little bit easier. Self confidence is really looks at the present day. Okay. So, yesterday, you could have been very self confident because you were able to do something at the gym that you haven't been able to do. So, all day you were on top of the world. I feel self confident. So, self confidence kind of floats with us on a day by day. It can be changed or you can navigate it at any one time. For example, if you got a new job, I just talked about this, something happening. If you bought a new house or you got married, who doesn't feel confident after buying a new house? Hey, Mina, Mina. and getting married. So self-confidence kind of flows with you. You have the ability, more of an ability, to change and navigate self-confidence. It is kind of in the present day. But guess what lives under the self-confidence? There's this thing called self-worth, or we call it self-esteem. It lives under self-confidence. And a lot of times to get to self-confidence, you've got to deal with self-worth. Hey, Nicole, how you doing? And let's talk about self-worth and self-esteem, and then we're going to get into the good part. Um, a symptom of self-worth or low self-esteem is negative thoughts. Okay, I want y'all to stop there for a minute. Negative thoughts. Okay, that is a symptom. It is not the root. It is a symptom of self-worth, a low self-worth or self-esteem. Okay, so it's almost like when you have a cold, your symptoms are a runny nose. Maybe you have sneezing, coughing, slight fever. Those are symptoms. Hey, Katasha, those are symptoms. But the root is you have a common cold. Okay. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you so much. So, however, that is not the cause, what we just talked about. Self worth or low self worth or low self esteem comes from, listen to this, from unresolved past experiences and emotions. And because of those unresolved past experiences and emotions, you create a belief. Okay, let's go back. Self confidence is the way you feel your thoughts for that day, it is a thought. Self esteem and self worth are beliefs. Now, which one is easier to change? Which one is easier to navigate? Obviously, your thoughts. Today, your thoughts can be high. Tomorrow, your thoughts might not be so high about yourself. But self worth, hey, niece, self esteem, it is a belief. It is very difficult to change someone's belief, not only in themselves, but in whatever. Okay. I've had numerous debates with people on Facebook, men and women alike, about different people's beliefs, and their beliefs come from the way they were raised, the way they were brought up. Like, for example, I don't believe in living together before marriage. That is a belief of mine. I am very convicted about this belief of mine. However, your belief may be different. Okay. So it is very difficult to get people to change their belief, which is and affects their self esteem and self worth. All right. So y'all got the difference. You got self confidence, you got self esteem and self worth. And on the bottom or under, it's almost like self confidence lives on top of the ground. And in the earth, the root is self esteem and self worth. So if someone comes to me as a coach and says, I just want to work on my self confidence, I just don't feel confident in myself. Hey, Eric, how you doing? The first thing I look at is, let's go all the way back. And they always wonder, why we got to go all the way back to my childhood trying to figure out? I mean, I just want to talk about today, because self-confidence is, remember, it's daily. It's your thoughts in that particular day. But listen, it is greatly impacted by what happened back there. That's the part that scares people. And that's what I'm going to talk to you tonight about, because if you don't go back and resolve it, it's going to follow you all through your life. Kim, put that in the chat. It will follow you everywhere. It's like a coat that you wear. Hey, Kiara, it'll be like a coat that you wear. Can't you tell the people who are walking in self-confidence and self-worth, self-esteem? You can tell. But did you also know that someone can walk in self-confidence and still have low self-esteem and low self-worth? Yes, they can. You know how I know? You're looking at them. You're looking dead at them. You're looking at me. I've always been a confident person, but down deep inside, there was something that was missing in regards to my self worth and self esteem. Well, how do you know that, Seema? Because on the outside, you look really, really, you look put together and everything. Yeah, those are the main people who have this issue, who have this issue. We're great at what you see, but down deep inside, hey Jennifer, how you doing? We haven't worked on our self-worth and our self-esteem, which comes from or stems from our childhood. So we cover it up, and we're going to talk about one way you do that, and it's called the imposter syndrome. Hmm. Okay. So now that we know the definition, let me just give you, just an example. All right. So I consider myself a very smart person. And for those of you who don't know, when I was 19, I lost both of my parents. And I'm sharing this story. Most of you know it. But we do have some new people that have joined me on my page. So when I was 19, my sister and I, who's also on here tonight, she was 17, I'm 19, I'm a freshman at college. And long story short, I won't go into the long story tonight. We lost our parents at 17 and 19. Okay. So within 2 months apart. So January the 2nd of 1989, we dressed my mom and buried her. She had breast cancer and she died January 2nd. Now she raised us. She raised us. And my father was a decorated soldier in the 82nd Airborne, the United States Army, traveled the world. He came, he visited, not as much as we would hope, but he was still my daddy. My parents never really legally divorced. They separated. The story that I heard was when I was 3, and my sister and I, my mom raised us by herself, pretty much. That's the story. But hey, listen, this story is no different than a lot of people raised by a single mom or a single dad. Grandparents raised them. This happens, okay? But I don't think we really understand or fully understand the impact of these types of things in our childhood, because particularly as African Americans, we've just considered as survival. And I don't know about you, but I am ready to live, and I no longer want to just, hey Sharika, how you doing? I no longer want to just survive. Is anybody in the house or anybody watching me tonight? Do you just want to live and you want to step out of survival mode? Because see, in survival mode, we miss opportunities. We miss relationships that God may have presented. We miss opportunities to share love. We miss uh, a lot of things because we are so focused on survival. But how about you change your mindset and, hey Carol, how you doing? Decide to live a little. Okay. And the way you live a little is you've got to address these self-esteem and self-worth issues. Well, what are some ways in which and I'm sorry, what are some ways in which self-confidence affects your life? Lots of ways. Ready to live. No longer want to just survive. Hey, Ned, how you doing? So, y'all, just think about it for a minute. What are some ways that you think that self-confidence affects your life? And then I'll finish my story about my parents. Let's put some in the chat. Just let me know what you're thinking tonight. Come on, give me something tonight. What is the Lord giving you tonight? Ways that self-confidence affects not only just your life, um, could be your relationships, could be your career, could be your money, could be anything, your weight, everything. Ways that self confidence can impact you. Yes, Jennifer said she wants to live. Jennifer, I want to live too. I think our parents they were so much in a survival mode that they forgot to stop and live. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time to not only live ourselves, but we've got to teach our children how to live and help them escape this survival mode because they miss out on a lot. Okay. How about at work? How would self-confidence impact you at work? Because it certainly impacted me. Certainly impacted me. Okay, so because of losing my parents at a young age, 19, even though legally I was grown, I was still a child. Y'all know at 19, Selena said it prevents you from taking new. Selena, that's what I'm getting ready to talk about. That's exactly what I'm about to talk about. It prevents you from taking on new opportunities. Okay, so my parents passed away, and when I went off to school, hey Devontae, I was pre-med, right? Pre-med, went in there as an A student. I was going to be an OBGYN. But when that happened to me, it shook my self-worth and self-esteem. because who was going to be an advocate for myself and my sister? Now, at this point, Almina said she doesn't trust many people. That is also one of the ways that low self worth and self esteem can show up because of things that have happened in our past. So, after my parents died, I didn't have my mom to really stay on me about my goals in life. And so I decided to come out of the pre med. Okay. I wish I had stayed, and I wish I'd had somebody who was able to say, you can do it. Because I couldn't say this to myself. Hey, Keisha, I couldn't say this to myself. I was not in any place because of my low self worth and self esteem because of what had happened. Again, none of it was my fault. I didn't, there's nothing I could have done about my parents leaving. But in your brain, you begin to think, first of all, when you get a piece of paper in the mail that says that you are officially a ward of the state, which is a fancy word for orphan, I mean, how do you think that can affect your self esteem and your self worth? Okay. Then you've got to get all this help and assistance because you're out in the world and you don't have parents. I mean, it affected our self esteem. Now, a lot of people look back on it and say, God, you guys did great. And we did by the grace of God. But you have no idea the messages and that still today, that we tell ourselves because of that one experience in 1989. Thank you, Bridget. In 1989, that happened to us, that I still tell myself at 50 years old. That happened when I was 19. Okay? I'm just giving you guys a framework. Y'all know I'll be transparent. Okay? So, Selena said it keeps you from accepting new opportunities. So I wish if I could go back. Hey Terry, how you doing? If I could go back, I would go back and say, you can still do it. You can still do it. You can still be a doctor. You can still be an OBGYN. You might have to push harder, but you can still do it. I promise you, if the lady that you're looking at today, if that had happened, if this lady was back then, oh boy, y'all would be calling me Dr. Clark. Because I'd be like, oh, the devil is a liar. I'm going to push, if not for anything else, for my mom, for my mom, for my mom. So if there's somebody listening tonight and you feel like, man, I missed out, it is not too late. If you are listening, if you are breathing on schedule, if you are taking in air, you still have time to get it done. Okay? So the good news is we can rewire ourselves. We can rewire ourselves. We can rewire ourselves. Kim, put that in the chat. We can rewire ourselves. We can do it. We can rewire our brains. That's basically what we have to do. We can rewire it. It's almost like digging up an old plant in your yard that you no longer want and planting a new plant in the same spot. That's all it is. That's all it is. It is not easy, but it is doable. Now, fast forward to when I finish college and I go and I get my first job. So I wrote in a hey Lisa, hey Lauren, how you doing? I wrote in a book that I did with some other authors last year, I think last year. Yeah, last year, about my journey in my job. Okay, so 19 what 95 I think it was. After I finished college or whatever, I got my first real job. Real job, new plant in the same spot. Yes, now my first real job. And you guys, because of my low self worth and self esteem, not my confidence was on point, but it was something down in there that said, um, don't take risks. You can't leave. What about this? If I could go back and do it over as a young person, no children, no husband, I would have traveled the world, as Selena said, and taken every opportunity I could. And if it ended up being somebody in like, I just pack up and move again. What? Okay? Because I could, right? If I could go back and do it. But I entered this job and fast forward in the job for about 20 plus years. You guys, I stayed with the same company. And I want somebody tonight needs to hear this. I stayed with the same company for over 20 years. And my sister's on here. She has the same testimony. I want y'all to hear me clearly. And I was passed over a lot for opportunities. Um, I did everything they asked me to do. If they said, we want you to learn this and then train it, I learned it. I stepped out of my comfort zone, scared to death, but I did it. But I stayed, you guys, in a place where I did not feel that I could utilize my gifts and the potential that I had. I stayed too long. Is anybody on here tonight that can, you know, be a witness with me where you have stayed places too long? That's what low self worth and self esteem will do. Not only in a job, in a relationship, friendships, businesses, stay too long. And at what cost? Latressa said, this is my story now. Listen, honey, I remember you and I having a conversation. Girl, I remember about this thing. Staying too long. Monica says she a witness too. Staying too long because something down in says I'm comfortable here. What if I leave and then I get to a new job and I don't like it? Oh, what if I go to the new job and they're not going to be flexible? What if I can't do it? How am I going to, are they going to listen? That's your self worth and your self esteem that comes from something back here that happened that is talking. You've got to learn how to silence those thoughts. Remember, self confidence is this thoughts, but your self esteem is a belief. So when you say your self esteem impacts your ability to leave a toxic and hostile work environment, you are telling yourself something that you believe. I believed, this is the lie that I told myself. I believe that this was a good place that eventually they're going to promote me. I've done everything they've asked me to do. Eventually, they're going something's going to happen. You guys at that one place of employment, we got bought out five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 times. Oh Lord Jesus, 5 times, and every time a new owner came in, what did we have to do? We had to rebuild our reputation with a brand new group of people. And I stayed over 5 times waiting on a brand new group to come in to see my worth. That's what low self-esteem and low self-worth will do for you. Okay? So let's talk about some other things that it would do for you. I want y'all to get this, and I want you to get this because some of you are dealing with the effects of your low self-worth and self-esteem, but you don't realize it. You trying to figure out, why am I stuck? Why can't I get ahead? How come every time I feel like I get 2 feet ahead, I get 6 feet back? Why is it every time I meet somebody, it's always a drama? Why? Well, let's stop looking out and let's look in. How about that? Let's do that. Ooh, these jobs not allowing me to flow in my gifts. Honey, I was there. I was there. And I had all these gifts that I had built up over 20 years and did everything they asked me to do. And then it's like I'm ready. Y'all, I stayed there over 20 years. I should have been way up, way up. But I had the same job after 20 years that I had when I came in 1995 with zero experience. Self esteem and self worth. That's what it'll get you. 20 plus years, I can't get it back. She said, this Kim said this was me. I applied 2 times and I said, no more. If they don't see my work, then I will not apply. Honey, I got to the same point. I said, the Lord told me, don't apply for another thing. Don't apply for another job. Hey, Keisha Nicole, because this is not the place that I told you to stay. Man, if you choose to stay, it's going to inhibit what I got for you, and I'm going to cover you because you're my child. But yet, you're wasting time. Oh, Lord Jesus. I finally got that in my spirit after having my feelings hurt so much, you guys. And let me tell you something. When you do that to yourself, you are compounding the low self-esteem and low self-worth. That's what you're doing to yourself. You're digging a deeper hole, is what you're doing. Okay? All right. So, what are some of the things, other ways that it can affect you? Number one, we said it keeps you in your comfort zone in your career because you feel safe. You feel like there's little risk of failure, um, and you won't leave a hostile work environment. So if that's you, I want you to get on your face and ask God to help you to get moving. Help you to get moving because you're wasting time. If they have not realized your work, I knew a friend of mine, he said, after 2 years, if I hadn't been promoted, I'm out. Because the 2 years is enough time for them to know if you're capable of doing the next moving up. And if you're not, somebody should be able to communicate to you what you're doing wrong. That's the other thing. Nobody could tell me. I always got great evaluations. No one could ever tell me what do I need to work on to move up because they didn't have no intentions of moving me up. That is the that's where self-esteem and self-worth will leave you in circling around the same mountain. They didn't have any intention, you guys. Okay. It'll also keep you from applying for a new position. Who was that said that earlier? Applying for a new position will keep you from doing that. Um, Also, when you stay in a hostile work environment, Latressa, listen to this. When you stay in one too long, it causes you to lose your motivation and undermines your self-esteem. That's what I was just talking about. It causes, have you ever just felt like I have zero motivation here? Hey, Carol, how you doing? I have zero motivation. That's because you are in the wrong place. It's time to make a move. As the song say, bust a move. It's time to bust a move, baby. Find out what you want to do next and let's get going. By the way, I'm no longer there. Somebody said, you left after 20 plus years? I sure did. I sure did. I left all my money on the table and I left. And now I am the vice president of retirement services. So let me tell you something. When you finally get some wind beneath your wings, there's nothing that can stop you. I wish I had done that back 15 years ago. I might be the CEO. I don't know. But I'll never find out because I didn't do it. If you're on here tonight, I want you to know don't stay too long. Never stay in a toxic place too long. Absolutely not. Because guess what? It only impacts you. That's who it impacts the most. Low self esteem, low self worth also holds you back from speaking up in life and voicing your opinion. Is that anybody on here tonight? That was me. You get into relationships, you have friendships, family members, you want to communicate to them that they have hurt your feelings, they have used and abused you, they have done things to you, but you don't have the guts to tell them or voice your opinion. This comes from low self esteem and low self worth. Okay? What that does, though, when you are unable to speak up in life and voice your opinion, y'all get this. Oh my goodness. You run the risk of being invisible. Now, that's how I felt for 20 plus years. Like, does anybody see me in here? I mean, I'm working my butt off. I've done everything you asked me to. I feel invisible. But guess what? I can't even blame them anymore. I need to blame the woman in the mirror who stayed too long. Stayed too long. You run the risk of being invisible if you do not speak. Have I ever known somebody that's at your job and every time you turn around, they just a yapping, a yap. You're like, God, here he goes again, or here she goes again. But guess what, you guys? Everybody in office knows who the person is. They all know him or her. They are not invisible, but you are because you're afraid to speak up. You're afraid to voice your opinion. You're afraid to tell people how you really feel. That comes from low self esteem, you guys. So, somebody who can be self confident still will have an issue doing this. That was me. Now, I am much better now, much, much better. And everybody that knows me closely can tell you I've grown significantly in voicing my opinion and how I feel because I have the right to do so. It is my right. And after doing all my work since 2020 years of therapy and everything, and just dealing with everything from being a daughters daughter to losing my parents to abandonment and rejection from men, all of it, been through all of it. Okay. After dealing with it, I finally got some wind beneath my wings. And you know what? When I took that leap, this is what I want you to know. When you take one leap, I just believe that when God says, if you take one leap in the natural, I'm going to show up in the supernatural. And when I left that job, it was one of the most difficult decisions that I've ever had to make. But it seems like after that, everything, it was like I took the top off and stuff just start flowing out. Whoosh, whoosh. Confidence, self-esteem, self-worth. Okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? Got my master's, everything. Just do that one thing. Get that one thing. I think God will meet you right there. Okay? Another one. This is for the men and the women. All these are for men and women. I hope you have some men on here tonight. You question yourself a lot. I shouldn't have done that. What if I should do? What if, oh my God. What? Oh my God. I can't believe I did that again. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Spend so much time wasting it questioning yourself. And guess what? People can tell when you're not sure. People can tell when you're not sure. This inner dialogue keeps you from taking positive action. Listen to this on behalf of yourself and others. Doubting yourself keeps you from taking positive action on behalf of yourself and others. Now, listen, ladies, when you get married, you want a husband who is a leader, right? So if your husband has low self-esteem and low self-worth, and he questions himself a lot, happens to men too. This inner dialogue I just told you keeps him from taking positive action on behalf of himself and his family. Look at that. That's why the men need to do the work too. Men who cannot lead, who struggle with leading, who struggle with communicating, who struggle with being an advocate for themselves, who struggle with self-care, all struggle with low self-esteem and low self-worth like we do from something that happened back there. Either their father left, maybe their mom left, or somebody told them there will never be nothing, or they were molested, raped. Yes, men do get molested and raped, whatever it may have been, but something inside from way back. Remember, self-esteem and self worth comes from your beliefs, from experiences. So in their mind, they don't believe they can lead because of XYZ. Hey, Lori, how you doing? So when you've been found, like the Bible says in Proverbs 18 and 22, when you've been found, it says that he that finds a wife finds a good thing. But the he that found you, you need to make sure that he's worked on his self-esteem and self-worth too. Because let me tell you something, no sense in you getting yours intact and you're ready to fly, you got some wind beneath your wings, you're ready to fly to the mountaintop and above. And he's still sitting down there talking about, well, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can make that decision. What? Listen, this questioning yourself will, this inner dialogue, even for a man of God who is supposed to lead his family, will keep him from taking positive action on behalf of himself and others. And then he'll be looking around trying to figure out, why is my wife unable to submit to me because she sees you as weak. You cannot take positive action because you're still dealing with your own self-worth. Listen here. Hey, Andrea, you better get you a man that has done his work. We got to start making these men. That's a prerequisite. You have to have done your work because they have self-esteem issues just as much as we do. And as a leader, it will impact their ability to lead you and your children. The same way it will impact your ability to lead a team at work. The same principle. Are y'all hearing me tonight? Are y'all hearing me tonight? To be consumed with self-doubt is to be um, it keeps you from being proactive. You're always on the reactive, and you are not seen as a leader. My God. If you are consumed with self doubt, it keeps you from being proactive. You stay in the reactive, and you are not seen as a leader. Okay? Another way that it might show up, and this may impact a marriage as well. You are unable to take feedback and constructive criticism. Woo! Is that anybody tonight? If you cannot take feedback and constructive criticism, then you got more work to do, excuse me, on your self-esteem and self-worth. My God. The most confident people, at least they appear to be, cannot take criticism, constructive criticism, and feedback. Can you imagine being married as to this man and he's the leader of your home and you are on pins and needles and you don't feel like you can go and say, honey, I don't think that's a good idea. And I think sometimes you may make a decision too fast and you haven't thought about it. And I think sometimes you're mean to the kids, or I think sometimes you're being disrespectful to your mom. This is your wife telling you, but you can't accept constructive feedback or criticism because of your self-doubt and self-worth. Yes, Terry, it is so hard to get the men to realize they need to do the work. I thought about just doing a class with just men only in regards. I'm not trying to tell a man how to be a man. That's not my job. But what I can help them with is healing some of these things that they have dealt with because a lot of them are not going to go to a therapist on a one-on-one. So I don't know, maybe if I can do it in a group setting, I have the techniques, I have the exercises. I can give them all the skills to do the work themselves, but I don't know if the men would show up. I don't know if they would show up. But listen, the men have work to do as well as we do. Okay. Low self-esteem. This is number 6. And confidence leads to depression. Hey Pam, how you doing? Low self-esteem and low confidence can lead to depression. And which means you do not show up as the best person you are in life so that everybody in the world can see that you're not being your best, and you can too. Low self-esteem, low self-worth can cause you to be in depression, and here is why. Now, I would like to take credit for this, but I cannot. My therapist taught it to me. When you are depressed, when you are moving in depression, which means you stay in the past too long. When you're moving in anxiety, means you stay in the future too long. Okay. It's okay to go up there and visit sometimes in the future and say, "Woo, I'm looking much better than I'm looking right now in my future." But don't stay up there too long because you'll become consumed with what has not happened yet. And the Bible tells us to take no thought for tomorrow, because today has enough for you to deal with. The song says one day at a time. So the idea is to live in the now. So if you live in the future too much, you will find yourself riddled with anxiety. If you stay in the past too long, it's when the depression comes. Now, I just told you at the top of the call, self worth and self esteem comes from past experiences. Okay. That's why it can lead to depression. You're back there too long. You're staying back there too long. Your beliefs are still back there. It's something that happened. And because of that situation, you have made up in your mind, have convinced yourself that I am not able to do XYZ because my boss at my first job told me that I was slow or that I was unable to keep up or whatever. One of my bosses told me that I cared about people too much. And it significantly impacted the way I felt about what the gifts that God had given me. My gift is to care about people. How dare you tell me that I care about people too much? That's what God has called me to do. But I didn't know that at that time, and I let it affect me. But when I figured this out, the Lord showed me that my gifts are exhortation and mercy. It is my job to care about people. So for Him to tell me that, it goes against what God put in me. I wish I had known that day when He said it to me, and I could have rejected it right there. But instead, I took it into my bosom, and it bothered me for years. Maybe I do care too much. And the Lord was like, but that's why I have you there. Somebody needs to care, and that's you. So if the job does not allow you to care for your employees, then get out of it. It's not the place for you. He wanted me to manage the task and not the people. I don't manage tasks. I was there to manage the people. What a loss for him. What a loss. Okay. Also, if you are living in depression, you don't show up as your best, and you may not even be aware of what your best is. I walked around a long time. I didn't know what is my best. I know I thought I was doing my best, but I didn't get promoted, so evidently I'm not. Y'all see how that plays against your mind? I, oh Lord, I almost started speaking in tongues. Ooh, it almost came out. I promise you, I had to hold it. But listen, do you see the connection here? Hey, Clarissa, how you doing? Do you see the connection? Okay. Then, if you have low self esteem and low confidence, and then you're walking in depression, you also probably would tolerate toxic relationships too long. We talked about that. And then, lastly, you don't advocate for yourself. Somebody has to advocate for you. And I had to learn this the hard way because remember, I had 19, no parents. It's not like my mom can call up and say, let me tell you something like she did when we were growing up. You're not going to do this to my daughter. What? Didn't have anybody. So I had to learn how to advocate for myself. Took me years, you guys, to get enough courage, being scared and jumping anyway, faith, overcoming fear to advocate for myself. And I pray I can teach my sons to do that now. Okay. All right. What's our time looking like? Let me see what we got. Okay. Couple more things, and then I want to close it out. The number one emotion that drives low self-esteem and self-worth is shame. That's the number one. So if something happened back in your past that you've been carrying around, then you're walking around in shame about it, whatever it is. This is a catalyst for your low self-esteem and self-worth. So you need to go back and deal with that thing that you're walking in shame about. And then you can work on increasing your self-confidence and self-worth. Okay. Both of them. Okay. Some of the triggers that cause low self-esteem and self-worth, you might be on here thinking, okay, yeah, I didn't really have anything in my life. Like, what could it be? Child abuse, that could be physical or sexual, because a child will blame themselves in an effort to understand things that have happened. They don't know why. Their brain cannot understand it. So what they do is they blame themselves. Here it goes. There's the root. There is the root for the low self-esteem, low self-worth. It must be me. It must be me. Some of y'all walking around with it right now in your 40s and 50s. You still trying to figure out why he did that to me. Why did my uncle touch me like that? Why did my dad touch me like that? Why did my grandparents leave me over here? Why? It must have been me. Why did my parents separate? It must have been me. It's all built in this self-esteem and self-worth. Childhood trauma, loss of a parent. I just gave you my example: loss of a parent, loss of a sibling dying, a parent leaving. It maybe you were bullied. Hey, children that were bullied when they were growing up. Do you know how it impacts their self-esteem? That's why I get on my boys. Don't ever do that. You will scar them for life. That's unacceptable. ACEs, we call them ACEs, ACES, or adverse childhood experiences. It could be neglect, poverty. See, some of these things, y'all, listen, in the African American community, we just consider it surviving. But listen, it was impactful to your self esteem and your self worth. And in some cases, traumatic. Okay, needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. Violence, alcoholic parent, parent with addiction, divorce, poor parenting. Poor parenting can also cause low self-esteem and low self-worth. Something like frequent punishment and criticism. Wow. What if all you heard from your parent was you ain't gonna never be none. I ain't want you no way. I really wanted a girl. My mama told me I didn't have any common sense. She didn't mean anything by it, but y'all, it impacted me for years. I was chasing whatever this common sense is. I'm gonna prove her wrong. What is common sense? Is it street knowledge? What is it? I don't know. Somebody help me. She told me I didn't have no common sense, but it impacted me for years. Chasing common sense. Where is it? Y'all don't understand how parents, they didn't mean it. They didn't know. They did the best they could. But there are things they said that impacted you for the rest of your life. You got to get in there and address it. Now I look and smile up at my mother, who's not here, obviously, and say, Mama, I got common sense, baby. Yes. And so I think it was because I was so smart that maybe I don't know, I was different. Okay. Poor parenting, we talked about that. Little affection. My mother was not affectionate at all. But then I learned it through understanding that her family, her parents were not affectionate. So it wasn't her fault. Y'all, it's a pattern. So now I hug and kiss my baby boys, my boys, so much. The oldest one probably says it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. But I want them to be able to know what affection is and what it feels like, and that they don't have to be in their 30s, which what it was for me, to be comfortable with somebody giving you a hug. Because before that, I'm like, don't touch me. You see how they can impact you. So, poor parenting, poor attachment. When this is when you don't have a caregiver in your early childhood that you can trust, that will be there for you and accept you for who you are. We all needed that as a child, and a lot of children did not get that. That's called poor attachment. Okay. Now, um, as you know, low self esteem and self worth can lead to difficult intimate relationships. Defensiveness, we talked about that. Can't take constructive criticism. Lack of life purpose. Whoo, I want to stay right here. Hey, Keisha, how you doing? This is the one I want to stay on. Listen, if you're listening to me right now, it's about 20 some of you on here, and you don't know what your life purpose is. It could be that you don't believe that God could have given you one because of your low self-esteem and low self-worth. Like, how could God give me a purpose? All the stuff that I did, like, how would he do that? Well, he did, because he made everything with purpose. Your eyelids have purpose. Your fingers have purpose. Every finger has a different purpose. Every finger. Your toes have purpose. Your big toe has a purpose that your baby toe does not have. And if you don't believe me, cut off your big toe and see how good you walk. Okay, everything that God made is good and it has purpose. Okay, everything. Hey, Rashawn, everything. And that includes you. I don't care what you did, what you didn't do, what you should have done that you didn't do, and who did it. You have purpose. And if you don't know what that is, the blockage could be that you don't feel like God can give you purpose, that you don't deserve it, that you don't deserve it. Okay. It also could lead to addictions, drugs, overeating, sex, porn, eating disorders, secret self hate or harm, suicidal thoughts, victim mentality, and anxiety and depression, which we've already talked about. Okay. So, listen, basically, to sum it all up, we all have something maybe in our past that could have affected our self esteem and self worth. And we've all made decisions that were also impacted by the belief that came from something that happened in the past. Whether we stayed in a toxic relationship too long, a toxic job, a hostile work environment, a friendship where you're the giver, 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 and the other person is the taker, taker, taker. Anybody been through that? There are all types of things. If you go back through your life that you probably can see, if you really think about it, and if you can't see, you can get some help from someone like myself as a coach to help you see, to help you shine light in those dark places so that you can see what are the things that impacted your ability to have a functional, thriving self-esteem and self-worth. That is your first step. Okay. That's where you should begin if that is you. Okay. I gave you all this information tonight so you can see yourself. So you can also see yourself in me, right? I have done a lot of work on my self worth, my self esteem, my self confidence, all of it wrapped up together. I have increased my ability to step out and take risks. I've also, just increased my belief in who I am as a person. I've accepted the purpose that God has given me in life. This year, as I said, I got my master's in psychology. I also recertified myself as a coach this year as a confidence and transformation coach. Stepped out on faith, overcoming fear, all of those things, you guys. And I want all of that for every last one of you as well. Every last one of you. If you're not there and you're still breathing, you have time to get there. You have time to get there. So, what I want you to do, if that's you, is a link. I put a link in at the very top of the slide. You can go back in there and put that in. And go and click on that link. I want you to get a consultation with me. It's complimentary. It's free. So you have zero excuses. You have zero excuses. You have zero excuses. Click the link. You get a free 30-minute consultation. Hey, Mika, with me. Let's talk about what our plan is to get you feeling better about yourself in 20 and 21. Okay? Let's get it going. It's time out. Y'all, we are in our 40s and 50s and 30s. It's not too late, but there's no need to wait. Oh, that rhymed. It's not too late, but it's no need to wait. Click that link or go to www.seemawhitina.com. And as soon as you open it up, there's a big tab there that says free consultation. Click it. Pick a date, pick a time. I'll see you on the Zoom. We're going to talk about where we need to go and what my recommendation would be for you based on what you share with me. All I need is 30 minutes. Click that link. Click that link. We cannot go into 2021 if you're still on a job that you don't feel um, fulfilled. You don't feel like they have used your gift. You feel invisible. You don't feel like you can advocate for yourself. That's four clues that you need to move. That's four clues that you need to move. Oh, that rhymed too, didn't it? Four clues that you need to move. Click that link and let's get it going. Okay. I left a job after 20 plus years. You guys, I was going to do early retirement at 55. I'm 50 right now. So I weighed out. I should just stay. You see how those beliefs that out in my mind, I'm like, oh Lord, I'm leaving. I don't want to leave this money. But I kept telling myself, God can give it back. It's just money. It's not worth my peace of mind. And I'm sitting there feeling invisible every day, wearing me down for 8 hours a day. And then you can't go home and work on your other dreams and your visions that God has given you. Okay? You got to do the work and move it. And move it. Time is waiting for no one. Thank you, Kim, SingleWatina.com. Go on there, click the link, get you an appointment ASAP. Let's get it going for 2021. I want to help you. Listen, I have many techniques to help you. I have two classes going on right now. I have 9 beautiful ladies between the two classes who will one of them is taking one class is the confidence class and another class is the healing course. It's a 4-week course. I'm actually changing to 5 weeks for 2021. First class starts January the 11th. Registration begins December 1st. And listen, men, you need to be in the healing class too, or the confidence class. I've written the modules for both men and women. I'm going to give you all the techniques that I have learned, everything. I've put it together. I'm going to share it with you so you can do the work to heal yourself. It is your responsibility. You cannot blame it on your parents anymore. My parents are not here. I can't blame it on them. You can't blame it on the husband that cheated. You cannot blame it on your children who gave you a hard time. You cannot blame it on anyone anymore. It is your responsibility. Click that link and let's get started. All right, before I hang up, I want to pray real quick. Father, we thank you so much for your grace and your mercy and all your beautiful people tonight that hung out with me to talk about self esteem and self confidence and self worth. God, we thank you that you said that we were created in your image, God. That means we are beautiful, we're magnificent, we're awesome, God. We're all that in a bag of chips. God, we're just like you, amazing, God. And sometimes we just don't know it. God, and we thank you that every person under the sound of my voice tonight, God, you're going to speak to them tonight. You're going to speak to them very soon and let them know where it is. Point it out, God. Say right there, right there, right there, right there. It's a place I need you to do a little bit of work. I got something for you to do coming up in 2021, but I need you to work on that thing right there. I want you to get on it ASAP. God, I thank you that you're going to wake people up out of their sleep tonight and let them know what it is that they need to work on. God, I decree and declare that we will not go into 2021 the same. We are going to take with us our self worth, our self esteem, and our self confidence, and no longer will we accept toxic anything, relationships, work environments, friendship, and family members. None of it, God. We are above it all. And we thank you that you've given us the grace and mercy to do it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Y'all, let's get it done in 2021. Y'all ready? SeemaWatina.com. Click that link. Go ahead and get your appointment, and I will see you next week right here at 8 p.m. This is Seema, your favorite confidence and transformation coach. And I love you. Enjoy your night. Bye.